So you're good. I think we should be live and we're live here on YouTube with Miss Tareka Coney. And we're gonna go ahead and dive into the benefits of nonprofits for teenagers, or if you have any upcoming teenagers, youth, young adults, even if they're over the age of 21, if they're 21, if they're looking, if they're out doing any type of work, any type of community service, this would be a great time for you to have them tune in, simply because it's going to teach them exactly what does a nonprofit do. We don't want to just be out there giving things away, sponsoring these, it could be a youth football, whatever it is. We want to actually structure nonprofit around that because it could be beneficial in the long run. So I'm going to go ahead and let Miss Tareka introduce herself, and then you take it away.
Hey everyone, I am Tareka Coney. In the industry, I'm known as a business credit expert, and I help reduce the death rate of small businesses. I'm here today to talk to you about nonprofits. Nonprofits is my passion. Doing community work. If you have a nonprofit, that means you are in the community doing the works of the community. The communities are your members. Your community are your funders. Your community is your investors and funders for your business. So if you have a nonprofit, you want to focus definitely on the community that you're in. You also don't want to put too much emphasis on the program. So here's the thing when it comes to nonprofits is a lot of people focus on the program and not running the business. So there's two types of business. If you want to write these down, there's a corporation is one type of business, and then it's the nonprofit is another type of business for you. So you only have those two choices. If you're going to be for profit for the corporation, or you're going to be a nonprofit. A lot of times when it comes to the nonprofit, a lot of times people just think it's just like, oh, I can't get this money. I can't. I have this passion. I can't move forward without the money. You can, but the thing about it is people don't utilize the community. When you're going to look for donors and funders and people that are going to invest in your business, the main thing that they want to ask you is, what is my ROI? What are you going, if I give you this money for your nonprofit, what am I going to get out of it? So what you have to do is, a lot of times people miss the mark, is showing that grant funder, showing those business owners, what are they going to get in return back from you? So how that look is, say, hey, you're coming to me asking me for a donation. We'll just use a youth football team. As an example, if you're a youth football team and you're looking for someone to help you with your nonprofit organizations, instead of just saying, hey, I need you to sponsor 20 helmets, 10 things of shoes, things like that. No, you want to go to your grant funder. If you're having grants, if you're trying to seek money, you want to go to them with program outcomes. So you're saying to them, hey, if you sponsor 5 kids, this is what's going to happen. 2 kids are going to be able to stay after school and get homework done. That is going to increase their grades in school. 3 students are going to be able to fight hunger by us being able to provide them meals. You're also going to be helping 1 kid that was dealing with depression and suffering, that they get to get out here on the football field and put all their time and energy on the field and get to hit other people to let them out of frustration. Do you see how that sounds a little bit different than you coming to ask them and saying, hey, we have 20 kids that don't have helmets and stuff, and we just need your support and organization. They're going to say, so does the baseball field, so does the cheerleading field, so does the other people down the street that are needing money also. So you want to make sure that you are making sure that you are putting your nonprofit in the position to win. Let me give you some tips that you want to use right away for your nonprofit. When you're thinking about your nonprofit, you want to make sure that your mission is clear. So you want to make sure that you have your mission, your vision, your purpose, and your value. 4 things: mission, vision, purpose, and value. Your mission is going to tell what are you going to be doing in the nonprofit. So it should be clear and to the point. You don't want, it needs to be like a couple, no more than 3 to 4 sentences in your mission. Your mission is going to tell overall why you are doing what you are doing. So you want to make sure that you have those 4 things when you're starting your nonprofit. Also, when you're starting your nonprofit, you want to make sure that you are filling out the 1023. I know a lot of people say, don't fight me on this, but a lot of people say that the 1023 easy form. Yes, a 1023 easy form is a form that you are telling the IRS that you can raise $50,000. And when you are filling out that information on the IRS, you're telling them that in the next 3 years that you're able to generate $50,000. Now, what happens if your organization does more than that? I highly recommend that people just go ahead and do the 1023 loan form. I know that it's a little bit more money, but it definitely saves you in the long run when it comes to your nonprofit. Instead of doing that easy form, they have to transition over from there. I have a few notes that I want to give you. You want to make sure that is done. You want your first thing that you want to do is make sure that you have a clear fundraising plan. Your fundraising plan should be your number one thing when it comes to your nonprofit. You cannot get money without a fundraising plan, because if you're going to apply for grants or you're going to apply for community-based money, they're going to ask you, where are you getting money from? Where's your money coming from? If we don't fund you, is the organization still going to be able to rock and roll? So you want to make sure that you have a clear defining mission. You want to make sure that you have proven outcomes. Your proven outcome is just the evidence that your nonprofit is doing the things that you need to do. You want to make sure that you have a financial system. That is so important. If people are giving you their money and you're saying that, hey, I need $10,000 for this, this is going to this, and this, you want to make sure that you are using that money to the T when it comes to the nonprofit. You want to make sure that you have a structured program. Your structured program is going to look like, maybe I have a mentor. I mentor boys from the age 6 to 15 to help them with their self-esteem, help them with their homework. You want to make sure if you have another program, you could say, hey, on Saturdays, I take the young men fishing on Saturday. So you can make sure that you have structured programs. You want to make sure that you have an engaged board. This is my thing. Stop putting your sister, your brother, your cousin, your fish, whatever you want to call it, onto your board. You want people on your board that is going to run the mission, have just as much passion as you on your board. You want people that are going to be able to help you fundraise and not just utilize a seat on your board. So you want to make sure that this is all together before you start thinking about like your nonprofit and what you're going to do for your nonprofit, because a lot of times people just get in it and think grants. Grants is only 1%, I think between 1 to 8% of the amount of money that you're going to have coming in. People have allocated, right now we're going into the fourth quarter. This is where you're going to get majority of your money in the fourth quarter. This is where you're going to get majority of your money in the fourth quarter. And then also you're going to get more of your money in the last month, Giving Tuesday. And Giving Tuesday, I think it's in November. Giving Tuesday is where you get more of your money at. So now you need to be strategically planning yourself on what you're going to do for your nonprofit, how you're going to get this money, how you're going to satisfy the things for your nonprofit. I know I'm going a little bit fast, but I just want to make sure that I'm covering a lot of things. I know there's a lot of myths out there. One that you want to make sure that you stay aware. Just because you file a 501c3 doesn't mean that you're going to get approved. Your 501c3 is just a tax designation that says, hey, you are exempt but there's more things that has to go along with it. It's just a tax code. You also need to know what type of 501c that you need to fall under. A lot of people always want to put their organization under a 501c3 because that's all that they know. There's a 501c6, there's a 501c7, there's a 501c12. There's so many different ones that you have to figure out what works best for your business. Another myth, a grant will start my nonprofit. Most of the times you're not going to qualify for the grant. You're going to have to depend on the backbone of your community to help fund your nonprofit until it gets to where it needs to be. So you're going to have to wait for the community on that. I'm going to make sure. And then if you have when you're planning on doing your nonprofit, you want to make sure that you're starting at least 90 days in advance. 90 days of fundraising, 90 days of making sure that you have all your things in together for your nonprofit. I know this is a lot in a little bit. I wish I would have more time because I can definitely get into this more and dissect a lot of things for you. But I encourage you, nonprofits is the way to go. Nonprofits is needed. Are they always funded? No, but your community will help you. That is a reason why that they have money for your organization in the community, because they have to give this money out. That's why they call the Community Reinvestment Act. If you go to your local bank, if you look in your local bank, they should have 4 things on their wall. I used to be a previous banker, so I know these things. They all have 4 things. One of their core things is the Community Investment Act. That is something that is federal that they have to give back to the community. There's money out there. You just have to start building the relationships with the people in the community so that you are able to attain the things that you need for your nonprofit. I just wish everybody the best of luck when it comes to the nonprofit, because it is a way to go. If you have any questions or anything that you would like to have ask me, you could always follow me on Facebook, and it's Tareka, as my name shows on the screen, Tareka Coney. And then my Instagram is business, BUSINESS, credit, CREDIT, and it's with an XPERT. So it's business credit experts. So I thank you so much for having me on. I hope you bring me back again. I have more time and I'll be able to do a deeper dive in with you, and then give you some real strategies and things that will be very useful with you to help you with your nonprofit.
All right, I'm sorry. So I'm coming to unmute. I had to unmute. So that was great. That was powerful. It really covered everything when it comes to the differences in the nonprofits and what you see and what you don't see in the market. And the good thing about it is we continue to get this information out. And like you said, if we had more time, if we're in a more of a private setting where we can really dive into the Q&A that people will have around nonprofits and how beneficial they are, we're going to really get, make an impact with having people being able to qualify for funding and qualify for grants, because there's a big misconception around, I want grant funding, even for profits. And then, when we see those people, we have to sit back and say, hey, nonprofits are who the grants are for. And so business funding is for profits. And so just because of that, and then crowdfunding and then the local communities, and even when we do give backs, I hate to see when schools start and we do all of those give backs and they cannot even be a tax deduction because it wasn't given to a foundation or a nonprofit where they can keep track of all of this, the books, and you can keep track of it and you can prove that you actually submitted something, to charity that was of value or whatever it is. So everything has a roundabout to it. And so when we learn to pick up in one area, we learn to pick up in another area, then everything kind of works together and then we benefit from it. So Tareka, that being said, I know you did your outro already. Is there anything else you would love to leave the audience with?
No. If we want to have this conversation again, I'll be glad to come back and have this deep dive into this conversation again. I think that sometimes more in the minority community that we are lacking. We are lacking the resources. We are lacking the knowledge. We're lacking the money altogether that is truly needed and that it is available to our community. We just got to know where to get it and how to get the resources.
I agree. So thank you guys for coming in, and I hope to have Miss Tareka back anytime. Have a great night.